Today's session will remain in the public archives in agreement with Macro System US so that other folks, colleagues, and customers free quarter. Thanks, Ron. All right, well, welcome to the webinar. My name is Chet Davis. This is a Casablanca webinar special session, and as we focus on the features and functions, highlighting them in Bogart 4. Your host, the venerable, the honorable, the attractive, the omnipotent and intelligent Chet Davis, who some people also say is modest. So if we've never had the opportunity to work together before or to meet in public or online, please know that I'm not really that full of myself. It's I enjoy a joke as much or maybe more than the next person. So, hey, Brian, welcome. Wet and thundery UK. Well, you have the rain that we had like a week ago. So, a tip of the hat, a nod, and a thank you to the folks at Cam Audio Incorporated in just outside of Dallas, Texas. They continue to serve as the website host for the Casablanca Expert. Cam Audio providing all things audio, video, and Casablanca reseller. I did hear that our colleague Seth Hampton made it safely all the way to Fairbanks, Alaska last evening. So that was good news that he and his wife and his parents traveled up there. So I was going to quickly bring up the webcam, and you saw a sneak peek. So here we are live from the, this is what I call the Casablanca Lab. And you know what? I think I've got an echo going now. That's what I've got. There we go. Okay, perfect. So welcome. Got the official Casablanca Expert shirt, the Casablanca corporate blue background going on. And this is a live webcam I've got right in front of my computer. And over here we have a webcam attached to the Casablanca screen that I will be switching to momentarily. But let's just jump right in because we got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. As the reason we're here this morning in particular with great interest is Casablanca Bogart 4 is the newest and latest operating system available for the S-series, which I'll talk about in just a second. But it's 4.1C as in Charlie, and it is just recently released in the United States for the United States and Canada for those colleagues and customers using the S-series and a previous version of Bogart. So new versions of the S-series editors that are sent from Macro System dealers, resellers, or Macro System US directly will come with the Bogart 4 OS. My intention today is to walk you through rather briefly the new features and functions found menu by menu screen so you get more comfortable with what these different things offer us as end users. Okay, I understand that the Bogart 4.1C was just released in PAL today as well. So those of you in the UK, other parts of Europe who are operating on the PAL color standard, check with your distributor or reseller because it is my understanding you now have the 4.1C as well. A new update was released. So this is the out-of-the-gate release for us in NTSC. And at the end of today's session, I'll be answering what I would call the most commonly asked questions, the FAQs, as it were, relating to Bogart 4. In other words, can I do an update, a soft install? Should I do it now, Chet? So I have my personal opinions on a variety of those topics, and I'll address that at the end as well as some questions that have already come up from some of the website members. Okay, so and here's some screenshots from some of the features and functions. Who can install the Bogart version 4 OS? If you're running on the Casablanca S4000, S4000 Pro, S2000, S4100, S3000, S6000, and the S8000. And if you think, wait a minute, what's the well, the S8000 was, I think there was one of a kind. It was shown at the IFA show in Berlin last year, like super quad-core processing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A high-end model made mostly for bragging rights. So, and they did have that limited series Casablanca release, I think only in Germany. You could get it, your name etched on the front, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you know, so. That's where we sit with that. Now, 3 quick items. Preparing for the upgrade. Hopefully you know that I do have a list of articles on my website, and it's in the public resources area that detail how to archive your archives, how to back up your video, how to get ready for this upgrade. You can do, I said I was going to tell you this at the end, but it fits right here. So you can do an update on this. In other words, you can go from Bogart 3 right to Bogart 4, and that's okay. However, support almost always recommends doing a clean install. Two things occur by virtue of this. Well, three things. It defragments your hard drive, number one. Number two, if there were any funky monkeys, if there were any ills associated with a previous version of the operating system, it wipes them clean, okay? If not, it's just laying over the new operating system on top of a potentially formerly existing bug or issue, okay? And so it might creep up to catch you later on. The third thing that it forces us, and I include me in this, to do is to clean house. I know, like you, many of us, like, oh, I got so much going on, I don't want to I can't do a clean install. No, I got too much going on. Well, you know what? Sometimes it's time to clean the garage. I hope my wife doesn't hear that downstairs, because I know what I'm going to be doing this afternoon. It's just, it forces us to manage what we got going on. And it forces us to back it up, which is a really good thing. Because when we are forced to back up, if something happens to our hard drive, we got that insurance policy. All right. Also on my website for members, there's an article where I walk you through the installation process. It's fairly easy, but I go step by step, kind of telling you what you can expect and what you should see, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And lastly, which I'll highlight again at the end of today's session, I've created a Bogart version 4 quick guide. Okay. And thanks to Hans Joachim in Berlin, who saw this. He's been using Bogart 4 in Germany for 6 months, and he read my little quick guide that's available to members on the website. He said, "Oh, Chet, that's great. Thank you. There were stuff in there I didn't know how to use yet, and I've been using it for 6 months." So it's a little quick guide, an 8-page PDF. And by the way, for those of you who are members, I will be amending that guide in the next couple days because there's additional features and functions I did not include in the first version. Okay? So on to the material. So I'm going to pause this screen momentarily. I have to bring up the webcam software and switch from webcam to cam 2, all done behind the scenes, surreptitiously, almost without you knowing it if I didn't give you a play-by-play. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I wanted this. Stand by. See, next year I'll have an assistant who will be switching this live and this, live behind the scenes for us here. Yep, just like Leo Laporte, huh? Okay. All right, so bring it on, Chet. So we were looking at the Bogart SE. I am running a Casablanca S3000 with the version 4.1C. It is available now in the U.S. And Canada, and all of North America for those who are members of Club Casablanca. If you're not a member of Club Casablanca, I understand the software will become available to you after the July 4th holiday. That meaning Monday, I guess federal holiday on Monday. No, I believe that, well, next week. Let's just do next week, and that'll be clear. Okay? Now, what I want to do, let's just, quick thing here. Let's see here. Which version of the Casablanca editor are you now using? Okay? Go ahead and click the appropriate button. This is a live instant pull. Go ahead and click the button that, and you can click more than one. Okay, so which Casablanca editor are you using in your studio, in your home office, where you are right now? Okay. Now, if you're not seeing a place, there should be a place as well for you to raise your hand and for you to type in questions or comments. That's your user control panel. It might be behind your screen. Also, I will direct you, especially for those of you using a Windows computer, in the bottom right corner, there's a percentage thing. Okay. And if I don't fill your whole screen, okay, click on that thing that says 100% or whatever percent it is and select full screen. And my screen will fill your screen, okay? So let's go ahead and close that poll. Only 88% of the people have voted. Some people are choosing not to vote or they're playing online poker. So let's go ahead and share the results. So not too surprising. There's a large percentage of people here today who are using the S-series, but they could also still be using the what are called the generation the 2 machines. Avio, Cron, Prestige, Gymnos, Claro, Renome, Renome Plus, Solitaire, Solitaire Plus, Liberty, Claro, and Gymnos. So I have to fit all of them in because sometimes people get disappointed that I don't mention one. So okay, so let's hide those results and let me see this now. Which operating system are you running today? Okay. Oh, it didn't get saved. Doggone it. I modified this poll yesterday and saved it. So if you're running Bogart 4 today, go ahead and check OS version 3 and then raise your hand. We'll make you jump through hoops. Okay. Casablanca Expert says put your right foot out. No, I'm just joking. So again, if you're running a Bogart version 4, select SE version 3 and raise your hand. Let's see how many people raise their hands. We got 1, 2. This is totally unscientific. 3, 4. About 14-ish people running the Bogart 4 OS. So I'm putting your hands down. Thank you very much. All right. So there's a quick sense. So not surprising that the great percentage. Those of you running version 2, I'm aware there are some people that chose to run version 2 because version 3 of the Bogart OS gave them some issues that were deal breakers for them. And if that's the case, I understand that. If you haven't upgraded yet, just because you haven't upgraded yet, I will say get off the fence because, and I'm not selling this stuff, okay? If you got hurt, I don't sell hardware or software for Casablanca. I am an end user like you. However, instead of selling videos to businesses, well, I do that too, I sell information to my customers. Expert training and instruction on the Casablanca editor. So this is just my honest-to-goodness opinion. Go to version 3 if you don't have a deal breaker because it's so much more of a rich environment and provides so many more opportunities. Again, if there was a specific issue that you ran into and you had to go back, I understand. I understand. Okay? All right. Somebody says, I wish you were a dealer. Well, thank you. But it just feels right not to be for many reasons. So, but thank you. I appreciate that. And, you know, I can be totally, actually, when I was selling it, I was unbiased, too. It's just, well, I guess I was biased. But, all right. So here we go. Shut up, Chet, and do the show. So running the Bogart version 3, if you don't see my screen big enough, there's nothing I can do about it on my end. Again, I just showed you on your viewer how to make me larger. Larger than life. Oh, that's something I always wish I could have been, I guess. So, and now my wish is fulfilled. All right. So, what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to go screen by screen, but there's 2 caveats I need to share with you right away that are not like screen specific. Okay. Well, you'll notice this as well down here in the bottom left corner. See the new DVD open? Yay! The developers. It's interesting when we got the DVD burners, the reader writers in the Casablanca way long ago. I think it was the Cron that had the first DVD burners in them. Remember with DVD Dicon technology? That was, I'm dating myself now. But the open close button was in one screen, and that was it. There was nowhere else. And so there was a lot to, it was like, oh man, come on. But now they're putting it more and more and more and more places, which is nice. So you can pop it open in a bunch of different screens now. Thank you, developers. Hats off to the developers. There is one more too, and the story that I have, straight from the horse's mouth, as it were, indicates that there should have been and should be a keyboard-related function that opens the DVD tray. And there is now. Thank you to Justin Philpott at Macro System US. Okay? And function key F4. F4. Anybody have bingo yet? Function key F4 on your keyboard, the F-series at the tippy top of your keyboard, will open the DVD tray and close the DVD tray. Isn't that cool? So again, apparently Justin Philpott kept pushing that for the developers, and logic saw its way to fruition. The other item is that we're now using the NTF system in support with external hard drives. So if you're exporting files as well as, that's the storyboard archives, as well as different project environments, that would be the store and share and the Bogart HD backup. So the storyboard archives and the Bogart HD backup now are also supporting the NTFS system. Okay. Previously, we were on a technology called FAT32. Okay, and the oversimplified, the greatest benefit that NTFS offers us over FAT32. Can you imagine listening in this conversation at Starbucks? Somebody's saying, what are they talking about? So it is that NTFS supports multi-terabyte size files, where FAT32 truncates the file into 2 gigabyte passages. Okay, in other words, it'll split it up. Well, I understand it's 2 gigabytes minus a few megabytes. So, okay. So, enough said. Those are two kind of like foundational things. Okay, we're going to jump into system settings and project settings up here in the upper left-hand corner. And again, today's session will be recorded, so you might just kick back, either take notes, follow me along, or follow me along in the recording. It's totally up to you. I'm going to jump into system settings, and you can see again we're running version 4.1c as in Charlie. There's a number of different changes. I don't know. Let's see this. Raise your hand if you use the timeline view. Now, if you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, don't raise your hand. But if you use the timeline view on your Casablanca, raise your hand. Okay, we've got one person who uses it, and I assume that uses it regularly. How many of you pop in and out, maybe use it occasionally? How many of you have ever used the timeline view? How many of you know what I'm talking about? Okay, there we go. We've got some hand movement now. That's good. You in the back row, can you please quiet down and see me after class? Okay, thank you. You didn't think I was a teacher, did you? Okay. Now what? Let's go ahead and now what we can do. Let me just show you the timeline view so you know what I'm talking about. Okay. The thing we've been using for a long time is called the storyboard view. We have the storyboard and we have the scene bin. Okay. Now I am coming out of my S3000 via a DVI connector and going into a high-resolution monitor that has a DVI input. Now on the S3000, S6000, you can come out DVI, you can come out HDMI, you can come out DVI-I to a VGA adapter. Okay. If you're on the the other S-series machines, pretty much DVI only for single monitor setup. However, Macro System US did provide a DVI to HDMI adapter if your monitor's HDMI. Okay. Now, if you're wondering why is he throwing around all these acronyms, DVI to HDMI, they're indicated on my website. You can look that up. Just put in HDMI on the search bar, and it'll show you what I'm talking about. So, the last couple versions of the Bogart system, and I'm not mistaken, even in Smart Edit, we have the ability to go to timeline view. And very quickly, here's timeline view. Okay. And timeline view gives us the benefits of what's called a timeline appearance, so that the scenes are not represented thumbnail by thumbnail or PICON or picture icon, but rather they're represented relative to the length of each scene. Okay, so when I back out here, okay, I can see really quickly. See the video black over here? It's a little tiny icon because it's a shorter scene relative to these scenes. So this is a longer scene, okay, than the black. And this Logan point 1 is longer than Logan point 2. And you can change the setup and the plus and minus. Okay, so if you had a really long project going on, you can zoom in, you can zoom out. It shows where your effects are and your transitions are. So image processing and title effects. And when we come over here to the audio mix menu, okay, what's really cool, and I'm getting ahead of myself. Well, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I'm going to come back. I'm going to force myself to make you see that later. Okay, so that's what timeline looks like. Here's what's new in the Bogart 4. We have the ability to totally shift it, to change it up, to allow us to customize the screen. Okay, now to do that, I'm going to engage this other function. Fourth button down is the screen button in the system settings. I have the ability to edit the visible position and size of the screen. What are you talking about? Well, what I can do is I can say, Casablanca, use the whole screen. Use the whole screen. So see how I've got the buttons coming, well, the buttons almost off. See how this mark button in the bottom corner is almost off the edge of my monitor? What if it was off the edge of a monitor? I was using a monitor setup is different than what I've got right here. We have the ability to adjust that. Project settings, screen button, come down here, edit visible portion and size. I can adjust the screen size by using the size and position buttons to say just put the whole menu. Why is autofocus going crazy on me here? Okay, there we go. Let's go manual focus and focus it. Check. There we go. All right. To totally position that, so now when I go in the edit menu, see how the mark, it's minor, but it's huge, okay? See how the mark button is now not so close to the edge? I've squeezed it in so that all the main menu settings are adjusted. The reason why I'm sharing that with you is if you adjust this whole screen thing, you're adjusting the amount of available space for the icons, for the storyboard, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to go full screen, as big as I can here, okay? Which actually would be 1280 by 720, so I've got a couple pixels short of that. But what we can do in the screen set, I'm not going to spend a lot of time because not many people are using this right now, okay? But you have the ability to have a medium-sized video stamp, okay? You can have small stamps. And in the scene bin, this is brand new. See, this is called one-line scene bin. So I have one line of scenes. I can change that up now and say, you know what? Go to the right menu, Chet. I want the multi-line scene bin. And I didn't allow it because I had such a, oh, did you see the size of my icons on the top? Whoa, they're big. Okay, because they're big and I asked for that, it's not going to let me do the multi-line line below here. Teeny tiny, please. I can even go text only. Okay. So it's text only. See how there's no icon? There's no image there. Oh, you know what? I'm using a different resolution size. It's not going to let me go to that, is it? Okay. Somebody said, can you switch back and forth? Yes, I'm sorry. You may switch back and forth between timeline and any time during the edit. I mean, not while something's rendering, but yeah, you can switch back and forth between those modes during the actual setup. Okay. Screen, what's changed in screen? We can change the interface colors. I'm just going to mention this. You can change the background and the gadgets, which are the buttons. Brand new, you can change the color of the text. So you can have, see how I've got the, well, it's hard to see on the webcam, but I've got gold text on the background. There, I think you can see it now on the webcam. So, yeah, you know, not a deal breaker, you know. So, this is big, B-I-G big, not in terms of, oh, that's a nice feature, but, oh, pay attention to this one, okay? In both the Bogart version 3.6 and the 4.1C release, there's this new button here that you place a check mark. Display during DV or HDV recording. For a long time, we've had the ability to turn off the display on HDV. I know lots of people like to have the footage show up on your Casablanca while you're importing. I get that. I understand that. However, let me explain it real quickly. When you're importing footage into your Casablanca, you're using the system resources to record the footage. You're using, the video board, the processor, you're using the RAM to briefly save the video and put it onto the hard drive, and it's working along, chunk, 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 doing its thing. Happy as a lark. But if I say, oh, by the way, in addition to doing all that, can you also please display the image, the video that you're recording onto my monitor screen? And it says, what? I'm working hard over here, dude. You want me to do that too? And it's been a capability, but my reading between the lines on the release notes and talking to other people, some people have experienced what we call drop frames, where a frame of video, 1/30th of a second, or for those in PAL, 1/25th of a second, the frame will drop or not be recorded. And the audio can either drop out or the audio can remain constant, has been the experience of yours truly and some other people in the Bogart environment. So what you have is you have an out-of-sync recording after some period of time. And this was happening a lot for me on my 4000 Pro with earlier versions of the Bogart. Okay? Now, this is designed to cure that. So what you have to do is go into System Settings, click on Record Playback, and remove the check mark from display during DV and HDV recording. What this means is while you're recording in the record menu, you won't see an image here. You will not see your video. It'll still show up in your camera viewfinder, and the counter will move down here, and it will record it as long as you do all the things right, but it will not use the system resources to display your image. And again, the design is that it allows all the system resources to go to a smooth recording. So that to me is a tiny little button that can be hugely important for colleagues in our community. Okay? Effects and rendering. Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I think there's more salient features, but just so you know, the sound after creation, remember that bong that happens that you can engage? We've had that for a long, probably smarted at 6 and higher, maybe 7 and higher, and it's a nice thing. So, you can have it depending on how much rendering. The nice thing is you can adjust how many times it bongs. It can ding or bong, okay? The length of the sound from 1 to 5 seconds, and how many times you repeat it, okay? From no repeating, sound only once, to 9 repeats, which would mean 10 times. So be careful with this unless you want to annoy somebody. And this is really good, okay? This can be very useful. If you have a terribly annoying client who you'd rather edit their stuff while they're not there, engage this and put it for maximum repetitions and select a really annoying sound. And they may choose to let you edit on your own, okay? Thank you, Mr. Holt. So the nice thing is there's the default sound, which is the bong, okay? But you can also, oh, there we go. See, it's important that you know that I sometimes experience stuff that you experience. And that is, instead of the red box of death, it's just a system shutdown. The good news is it's a Casablanca, and it should come back up momentarily. Yep, there we go. The program has not been quit properly. Don't you love that? Thank you very much. As if I didn't know. I just want to tell the Casablanca, you're the one responsible for that shutdown, not me. Thank you very much. Okay, back to system settings. I'm not going to go re-engage that, but just show you what it is. With that function, the sound after creation, you are able to go into the sounds function and use the items in like jingle effects and stuff like that. Okay, so This, I think, is really, really cool. And for folks that spend a lot of time in front of the interface, and maybe folks that don't, this will be very big in the Bogart 4 environment, okay? Edit favorites. Okay, well, what are you talking about? What's a favorite? When I go down to special, okay, you know you've got this long line of effects. Actually, we have two lines of effects. We have the top operators, and then we have this second line of effects, alphabetically, that are masks and other functions, okay? Now, so there's those two sets. In a latter version of the operating system, there was the option to turn on something called most used or often used effects. And there would be a third white line at the top here, and above that would be in order of the effects from this list that I have used recently, okay? But we have an opportunity to customize that, and I really like that. I think this is a great option by the developers, frankly. What we can do is in each of the list menus, okay, let me go ahead and get the webcam to zoom in. Camera 2, can you zoom in a little bit, please? Nope, not zoom in. Thank you. We have the ability in each of the effects lists. So right now, I'm under special, okay, and see all the special things? That's the same list I was just looking at over there under the edit menu. I can say, you know what, I use copy a lot, and I use scene to sample a lot. And I used to use still scene, but I'm going to show you a new feature in Bogart 4 that does that. And, you know, I like to use control image a lot. So see how they have a check mark next to them? Now, when I click OK, check this out. I'm going to go back to the edit menu, and under special, at the tippy top, they're differentiated, separated out, are those three things that I use a lot. So I have the ability to access it right away. Isn't that cool? Very nice. Nice job, developers. And you saw that it's customizable on a variety of screens. I've already got that set out as well. He said he thought he did. In system settings, effects rendering, edit favorites, transition effects. Oh, I've got the whole list selected. That's why. The things that I use the most in transitions, let's say I'm so traditional. I do love the crossfade, okay? And let's say I use picture-in-picture a bunch, and then the Z1 page turn. So see how I've got three items with a check mark there? When I click OK, when I go to the transition menu, what should be showing up? Oh, you know what? I think I did not engage it. Effects rendering. This is good because you get to see how it's used, see? Huh. Clear selections of this list and only add the following, please. Crossfade, picture-in-picture, Z1 page turn. Okay? Click OK. Let's check it out before I go back here. Transition effects. Yep. See how they got the check mark there still. You know what? I might have backed out. I might have right-clicked out of that. There we are. So now when I go to the transition menu, okay, isn't that cool? So, very nice. Thank you, developers. That's a good one, too. Date, time, archives. I should make note of this, too. If you've saved your archives, and again, the archives originally were custom colors, your own fonts, title screens that you created, and I've run through, if you have my Casablanca Intensive Tutorial DVD series, you know I go through that very clearly in depth, and by the way, that's still available from a macro system from a Casablanca reseller or in my online store, Casablanca Foolproof Volume 1. But hold on, there's a Volume 10 coming, and it's going to be Bogart 4 Intensive. Everything in Bogart 4 from the ground up. Minimum 3-disc set. It might be a 4-disc set. But when you archived previously, it didn't save everything. Now the developers are telling us it will save more, like Candy Factory custom presets, PIP 3D motion paths. All those things will be archived and backed up. So when you do a clean install of the operating system, you can save all those custom items. Okay? On to project settings. Let me just verify. Not a great deal of modification here. Okay, that's it. You know, there's one other thing I neglected to show you. and you might get disappointed at me over here. And you may or not know, I've been using a bigger mouse, and it's really not a bigger mouse. I would say it's a bigger cursor, because the mouse is the device that controls the cursor or trackball, but it's a mouse pointer. That's accurate. Okay. I can make it smaller. So when I click, see, that's what you're used to looking at. And if I didn't show you that, you might say, Chet, how come you didn't show us that? There you go. Now you can have a bigger cursor. Yeah. All right. So video settings, nothing significantly has changed there. We're going to go into the record menu where there are some salient changes. And I'm going to go ahead and let's zoom out a little bit here, camera 2. Check that, Roger. And the features and functions I'm going to show you right now relate to the ability to ingest or import video files. And let me differentiate for a second what I'm talking about. I'm choosing the language to differentiate the kinds of video we can bring into the Casablanca into two separate categories: video streams and video files. Okay? In the SmartEdit operating system, largely, and from the beginning, we were using video streams. In other words, a video stream is a real-time playback or record from an external device, whether it's a camera, a live camera, a mixer, or a deck that's playing back a pre-recorded tape. And that stream of video is recorded live into the Casablanca. So that's a video stream. And all along, we've been able to use composite video through RCA phono inputs or S-video inputs, the YC signal, and then we had the capacity to bring in DV, digital video via FireWire, IEEE 1394. And then the company came up with the ability to ingest or record the HDV, high definition video. Higher quality video, 1920 by 1080 primarily, but we were also doing somewhat 1280 by 720, recorded in via FireWire cable. Okay, so each of those are video streams, and we can still do that on the Casablanca. Though I would dare to say that the latest generation of Casablancas are primarily designed to work with higher definition video. Yes, they work with SD. They still work with SD. But I think their strongest suit is working with HD material. Sorry, I was reading a question and I got off track. It's my fault. The newer camcorders and the great movement in the video industry and consumer electronics is file-based video. Okay? You've heard some people saying that before too long we will not have the ability to purchase new cameras, new camcorders that have a tape-based recording format. Most everything is moving to flash media or another device, solid-state device that records the video on a chip, on an internal hard drive, etc., etc., etc. Okay, and the great number of video cameras available, both in the professional domain and the consumer domain, are these new solid-state recording devices. And that's where the Bogart system really shines and is the huge balance. And if there's a teeter-totter between SmartEdit and Bogart OS, okay, I would continue to dare to say that if you're just doing SD with a video stream, the SmartEdit OS still is extremely attractive to me. If I'm doing a mixture or I'm doing only card-based, file-based video, you got to be in the Bogart environment. You just got to be there. Okay? The only file-based recording that SmartEdit will handle, I should be back on me, but I'm not, so get that ugly thing off the screen, is the disk transfer. So disk transfer that you can even do in an Avio is file-based recording, but it's very hyper-specific. It's AVI, DV, UDC format, and not many other computer-based software programs will read it, apart from, I know Vegas reads it and can write it, but apart from that, it's pretty finicky. Okay, the Bogart environment shines because on Bogart 3 we had an increased number of formats, and in Bogart 4 we have even more. And so having given you that little precursor, sounds like the preamble to the Constitution, I have this right now. I'm inserting a USB, thumb drive into my, sorry, I bumped the monitor perhaps there, into my Bogart system here. And by the way, those of us on Bogart have learned never leave your USB sticks inserted in your machine when you shut down and restart. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Because the system will look to that device and think you want to start up from it. Okay. Used to be a world of hurt on the early versions of Bogart. Now it's just a problem. Now if you reboot and you see a black screen, just totally dark on the monitor, one of the first things that, oh crud, I left my USB stick inserted. Disconnect it, force quit, and boot back up, and I'm running again. So if you leave your external hard drives, if you leave your USB sticks installed, if you leave disks inside the DVD drive, if you've been to my workshop, you get trained not to leave things inserted when you reboot, because it's just, anyway. All right, you got that. So here's the cool thing. We have the ability now. This icon here, the USB, and we've seen this in the last couple of versions of Bogart. In Bogart 3, it was enhanced, but now we have even more. So we can bring in MOV files, okay, and this is one of those checkmark Chet things. Oh, let me show you my screen. Why am I not seeing my screen? There we go. Somebody says, I have no problem leaving my USB flash installed at all times. Okay. The only thing I can think of is a line in a Clint Eastwood movie. No, that's not it. You feeling lucky? I strongly recommend that folks remove it because there are issues that can have. But you're not having that problem, so that's okay. So I have the ability to bring in an MOV file. I can bring in an AVI file, and I think I've even got there we go. I got an FLV file, which is a flash video file. So there's an MP4 file. That's off of my flip video camera. See? So all these file formats and clips can be read in this system. Now, here's the change. That's kind of a change. It's like, under the hood, okay? It's just something in there, okay? So we know that that's there. We have the ability to switch between different devices, okay? So if I had a CD, a DVD, or a Blu-ray disc installed, I could read from them. But now I've got the Kingston Data Traveler here. And here's what we can look at. We can look at the files, a long list of just the files. Okay, just the files that are there, and/or we can look at the directory of that device. Okay, and the directory can show you. So if you've got something, you can bring in, like I've got Candy Factory screenshots. These are still images. If I wanted to bring all of them at once, if I've got a folder set up on my device, whether it's a USB stick, maybe it's like scenes to import. I can throw on my computer. I can throw all those scenes in that drawer or that file, and by checking this, okay, and click OK, it will load all those scenes. So it's a management tool, okay? So it's a management tool. Here's what I think is particularly cool as well for people that use this a lot. Let's go. Okay, this for example here. We have the ability as well to separate the scene. So if you're bringing more than one of these in, if you've used this function before, and again, this function will only show up if you're importing a file-based video. This has nothing to do with things coming in via cable from your camera or your deck, okay? So somebody said, can you zoom in on your, I can zoom in a little bit, but there's so much more to show you. remember to go ahead and make your screen larger, okay? Make your screen larger. That's the best thing I can suggest to you. So this separates screens, breaks it out into separate pieces, where before you had to click on auto split. And here's the option button that's brand new. We can adjust the brightness, contrast, saturation, gamma, and the volume level of clips as they're being ingested, as they're being imported or recorded into your scene bin. Now, there's no preview function, okay? So you see one screen here. So, you know, obviously you're not going to see the difference in the volume, but you can see right away. So if you're bringing in one video, this is cool. Or if you're bringing in multiple videos under the, you know, shot with the same camera under the same lighting conditions, then I would dare say that this kind of on-screen preview will be accurate enough for you to use. And I think in the presentation at the March Get Together 2011, Justin Philpott said he's going to encourage Germany maybe to click on this, and it will go back to default to 100% zero. I say we should start an email campaign. Send them to Justin. Put them everywhere, you know, on the forum, on the listserv, whatever, the Cassie Tips listserv, saying that would be cool. That would be important. I think that's logical. Okay, right now if you click on it, it returns it to the setting it was when you started this menu today. But that's so. And here's the nice thing too. Next time I go to import something, so let's say I import all those things with these changes. Okay, next time I go to import, these will still be here. And the nice thing is, see how it tells you? Chet, remember, you have a change set in brightness, contrast, and volume for your clips. I might go, oh, thank you. I want to get rid of that. And to get rid of that, you just have to raise these back to 100%. And 100% is the default setting. There's no change, no modification. So I want everything at 0. And now see how the text goes away? Okay, gone away. All right, very cool. Let me just make sure. Okay, yes, I think that's it here in this section. Good stuff. Again, I'm seeing the whole industry move to file-based cameras. Whether you're using some of the new, you know, if you're using a flip video or the Kodak Playful, if you're using the Sony Bloggy, if you're using a Canon T2i, a Canon 60D, you know, a Canon 7D Mark V, Nikon D60, more and more and more, all the way up to lots of the video cameras. You know, if you go through the list from Videomaker of the new cameras in 2011, let alone what's coming in 2012, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a tape-based camera. Okay, I'm not here to merit the value or the the deficits and benefits of file-based versus tape-based, but let me tell you, baby, it's coming. It's here. So thank goodness the developers are providing us with the means to address these, to use this. Okay, very, very nice. Very nice. Okay, so thank you to the developers. Thank you to the developers for all these. I think it's a great, great function. All right. Okay, into the edit menu, please. Okay, changes. I'm going to go back to changes to the regular storyboard mode. I think it works best in terms of showing folks what's going on. And I went to the wrong function. So now what this is for is I can show storyboard, I can show timeline, I can have timeline only in the mix menu. Okay, I've left my USB stick attached because I'm not shutting down because I'm doing some different things here. Okay, so there we are. I'm in the multi-line scene bin here in the storyboard function. Now, if I don't like that, I go, oh, I like the high-res monitor, but I don't like that. Again, I can come back here. I can go to storyboard timeline, and I can say, show me just a single line. So now I can use the high-res monitor and just have the single line of stamps. Okay, kind of up to you. But, you know, I'm going to go to the multi-line because I think it looks cooler. I look like a more impressive guy. All right. I'll tell, well, it's hard to say which is the most coolest thing. I know that's improper grammar. Don't write me about that. But I'm going to tell you my favorites, okay? in terms of preparing content, in terms of, you know, editing away, I think one of the coolest things is this right here. When I click on a scene and I hold the tiny interior right button, look what pops. I'll do it more here where I can, oops, see on the screen. Let me see if I can zoom in on this for you. In, not out, Chet. See, when I'm not standing behind the camera, I have a hard time with that. So, okay. So I'm zoomed in. I click on a scene, and I'm going to hold the tiny interior right button right here. You have to be using a 4-button trackball for this. It's the tiny interior right button. Okay. And if you've seen my tutorial Media Manager, you know that the tiny interior right button works there. It also works in Photo Studio too, but that's another story. Previous to this, it didn't really work much other places in the Casablanca. But now, check this out. Look what I have available to me. Right here, without going to any other button, I can play that clip. I can trim that clip. So when I select trim, just by scrolling the trackball down and left-clicking, look what comes out. Isn't that cool? Goes right to the trim menu. I can delete it. I can mark it and then call up the action menu. I can rename the clip. I can set its group. Here's one that I love. I can copy to the clipboard. So I can go, boom, in the clipboard. Boom. Oops, I think I did the wrong boom. Boom, in the clipboard. Boom, in the clipboard. Okay, so now when we open up the clipboard, of course I could be using the power key, but I don't have a power key on this device yet. Okay, check that out. See, I just added those scenes to the clipboard very quickly. Where, you know, back in the day, we used to have to click here, come down here, and okay. So, very nice. Thank you, developers. I think that one is a big, okay? If you have Power Key installed, if you use Control F for find, you can now put in part of the name of the scene, and it will find it for you, okay? So that's the find function that may or may not be of a great value to you. There's 3 what I consider to be big E's, big ones, big new features within the system, and that's this one right here. I've got, well, here's a shot of my son running the 100-meter dash last week at the track meet in the East Bay, his first competitive event, let's say I've got that trimmed down and I want to put that on a website because I want to share that with his uncle back in New York. All I have to do now, used to be we'd have to go to the project settings and use the export function, or use archives, take it out to Media Manager, go into Media Manager, set up the device, click export, etc., etc., etc. Now, all I have to do, check this out, is come over here, and you can't, I'm going to have to go, that's my danger of being zoomed in. There we go. See this option key? And it's going to appear in different places depending on how you have your menu set up. If you're single line storyboard rather than, you know, scene bin, I mean, you know. So click on the option button, and here it is right here. Export this scene. You're like, what? Yeah. I'm going to export that scene to my USB flash drive. It's already there. So it's exporting. This is a, it's trimmed down. It's only almost 9 seconds long. It's exported that out to my USB flash device. Now, what it's exported out is what we call an MP4 video. It's an MP4 video and an AVI wrapper. And if you're like, what? Okay, just know this. That file that's now exported, I can pop into my Windows PC or my Mac PC and upload that directly to my YouTube channel, to Facebook, to Vimeo, to my exposure room, to my Sprout video channel, to my own website. That's how quick and easy it works. I think it is fantastic with a capital F. We no longer have to go through the Media Manager. Now you can still, and there's times you may want to, but if you're looking to do a quick export to get it up to an internet, that is big. Now let me tell you one caveat here, and this will stump some people, but don't, this is one of those things, don't worry about it, trust me. export that and load it. Try it. Don't take that file over to your PC and try to view it, okay? Because, and this even happened in Media Manager, and it freaked some people out, but it unnecessarily. Here's why. Your computer, your Mac or your Windows computer, may not have, and likely doesn't, have the software on it that will read that file successfully. And it's not a failure of the Casablanca. It's that your computer doesn't have the software to play that back. Trust me on this. If you take that file, you did what I just did, you upload it to Vimeo, YouTube, Facebook, your website, it will be compatible. Okay? However, that being said, there are I think 3 different software that you can install on your computer that are freeware applications that will read that. Okay? And I will have that available this afternoon. There's one more I'm testing for website members. That will be an article on the website. That link to that information will be included in the webinar follow-up. So what I keep talking about webinar follow-up, you will get an email just by virtue of attending today. Okay, it's just part of the system. And the email says, thanks for being part of it, blah, blah, blah. Here's where you'll find the video recording of today's session, and here's where you'll find some notes. So I'll make sure that's one of the notes. Okay. I do still choose to use movie mode to de-interlace the video. Okay? Some people would argue you want to use a different software, maybe like Handbrake, and do the decomb instead of de-interlace. That's up to you. But I do use the movie mode, and I'm still continuing to use the black border function, but that's my own personal thing. Okay? And this is designed to be done with any length of video. I've only done it with shorter videos, and I've actually done a time comparison between this export and taking it over to Media Manager, and this method is quicker, not night and day quicker, okay? What I mean by that is because there is still some compression. So it's taking the Casablanca intermediate codec, the long GOP format, and converting that to an MP4 file in an AVI wrapper. So it's not just taking the direct video, so it's not an instant thing. It does take some time, okay? But again, it is slightly quicker, not like, whoa, night and day. It's a few moments. And reason why it's roughly the same. The other method, you have to click into archives, you have to export the scene, then you go into Media Manager and export that. But so to me, it's a huge efficiency. So I've done that now and uploaded videos from my sons. I recorded each of the young athletes doing the 100-meter dash last week at the Olympic time trials, and they were up on a website the next day very quickly and easily using this method. So I really appreciate that. Thank you, developers. So it is still faster. Let's see. That was one of the big ones I was saying. Okay. Oh, okay. The other one, and I think this is, let's say I wanted to grab a still frame of this shot and use this like on my website or on Facebook, or send the photo to his grandma. Here's what I would do. Okay. Go to Option again, and here's this brand new function down here. Export picture to archives. So I click here, and then I use the position button, just like the trim. There's my son. Okay. Let's see, I like that frame right there. I left click OK, and it's just created a still clip of that. Now, where do you find the still clip? I go over to Media Manager, and then the photo archives. Media Manager launches, and the photo archives. Bada bing, bada boom. There's this still shot of my son grabbed from a still scene. Okay. Now the photo archives, I can export that to USB stick, to CD, DVD. If I want to use that still clip, okay. Now if I just wanted to keep it in the video, in other words, if I wanted to use a still scene of this clip, honestly, I would probably, come in here. And I would continue to use the still function. and then it's available instantly. But if I'm going to do something else with it, I would definitely use this new feature or function. Because it's over there, I can export it much easier than wrestling with photo transfer. Lots of people have been having, fun with photo transfer and doing what you want it to do. But if I wanted to bring it right back in, I go to Archives, I go to Photo Archives, I import that. There it is. So now, there we have the clip. Okay. So there we have the still clip. You can also do that up in the storyboard using the range function. Scroll through to the shot you want to use. There's the runners. And here's this tiny little camera icon. See that? That does the same exact thing. Okay? All right, 1, 2. I said there was 3, didn't I? Let's see. Oh, yes. My heart be still. This is awesome. For those of you that do corporate work, that work with clients, or for those of you who do this as an amateur, and you're doing something for the local community theater group, or you're doing something for the local community nonprofit group, or you're doing something for yourself and you just want it to look extra cool, check this out. Now, if you've been with my webinars for a while, if you've seen the resources on my website, you've been to a workshop, or you've seen my intensive DVD tutorial volume, you know we have the ability in custom images to put our own image up. And I've shown you for a couple of years how to use clients' logos and use like Blue Box World and use the box options and the graphic tool and the titler to get a logo to come on. But it was a hell of a lot of work, if I can just be that blunt. Okay? Oh my goodness, the developers made it nice and easy. And here's what I'm talking about. When you go to New and you go to Pattern, and you select a pattern, when you select Custom Images, this is what we've done for a long time, and it's like nothing new yet, Chet, so show me something I don't know, okay? This is something right away that triggers something you don't know. The name of this file is Casablanca expertlogo.png. PNG is the acronym for Portable Network Graphics. Okay? Previous to this time, all we could use in this scene bin function in the pattern, in the image pool, were still images harvested from a scene in the scene bin. Okay? Now we can actually import JPEGs and PNG files. And the huge, with a capital H, benefit of PNG files is it recognizes the alpha channel, which is transparency. So let me show you what I've got. I'm going to come over here and I want to bring in a new image. So I went on the internet and found a PNG file. Let's pretend I was doing video for the U.S. Olympics Vancouver Winter Olympic Games. I probably should be careful saying anything about the Olympics because they're going to have their attorneys on me in a night, overnight, and you can't use that file because you're not an official Casablanca expert of the U.S. Olympics. Got to pay for that. So what you do is you click on Custom, and it used to be image from scene. That's what we've done for a long time. Okay. Thanks to the developers for this too. We didn't have this, remove image, but I'm going to import image, and it says where. I go to my Kingston Data Traveler, and right here I have the logo, the official logo from the 2010 Winter Olympics Vancouver. And I don't know if you can see it as well on your screen, but there's the obvious logo. And what's behind it is this light blue with kind of a blue-gray chessboard or checkerboard. That's the indicator that that's a transparent graphic. And Casablanca is recognizing it. I love it. So I click OK. And it's added that to that file. It's kind of giving me a weird thing here. I got it up here as well. There we are. Okay, it's just showing it twice. That's weird. But over here it's showing the original. So what I can do is I can use that and make a scene of it, but it squishes it out, it stretches it. You go, well, what use is that, Chet? That's not the use. That's one way to bring it in. But how we use that, let's say I've got this shot of here's a race here. Well, you're probably tired of seeing myself. Let's pick a different race. Okay, we'll pick that race. And we find a brand new function here under Special and go down to pattern 2. Select which image or pattern we're going to use, and I'm going to go to full size. Now, you see the transparent logo already? I'm going to resize that and position that. Check that baby out. Isn't that awesome? I love this function. To me, this is big, 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 big. So I can take company, corporate, organization, individual logos or graphics on screen that you create in your own software or you get from your client. They can create something very fancy in Adobe Illustrator, in I'm having a freeze frame, in Adobe Photoshop, and save it as a PNG file with transparency. See, I don't have to monkey with Blue Box World or the titler at all even. I've done it right here in the scene bin. So it will impart that. See how it puts the logo, so you can do like bumps, but there's another name for this, a bug. They call this a bug. It's a bug when it's a little icon down here, and you see it all the time on the network. So for your demos, for your online demos, you can put your company logo there. Really, really nice. The developers outdid themselves on this one. This is something very, very nice. Okay. All right. So when I play this back, here's something new as well. Okay. See how the audio, the peak LED audio meter is showing up? Anytime I play from the scene bin or play the storyboard, we now have access to the peak LED monitor. We didn't used to have that. We used to have to go to audio mix to see that, but now it plays back in the scene bin and storyboard. Very, very nice. Last item that ties in with this, but I should have done it over here in project settings. Those of you who have been wanting to back up using the backup function your HD projects, you used to be able to back up your SD and HD projects using the storyboard archives in the project settings menu, but you could only restore or bring back the SD projects. It's kind of like a bank that lets you deposit but not withdraw your funds. Okay, that's been cured. In the Bogart 4 version, you can back up SD and HD, and you can restore both SD and HD projects. Very, very nice. Thank you, developers, for that. All right, onward and upward. Transition menu. Okay? In addition to the function you already saw, I showed you how to set up your custom presets for the items you use the most. Okay? Let me do something that's going to be, I don't use it a lot, but it works well to show it. Okay? We're going to add the circle wipe, and I'm going to make it long. You're thinking, whoa, Chet, wait a minute. Can you zoom in there? Sure. Let me show you what I got going on here. Wait a minute. How'd you get that, Chet? I've been using Casablanca for years, and we have like, what do we have there? 30 second, 1 minute, 2 minute? You can set up your own custom times now. You can set up your own custom times. Greetings, Mr. Philpott. We have our respected colleague and kind individual from the Boulder office. Glad to have you along. He's like, how'd you know I was on? Well, somebody alerted me. He said, hey, Justin. Anyway, so this is really cool. So I can, if I want, if I want to have different times, I can say I want to do a whole bunch of 24-second long presets. Okay. So you adjust the time you want. Like if I want, instead of 2:22, let's say I want 3:15 for my long preset here. I adjust the slider. So you can go anywhere from 1 frame up to 806. I think that's in like still frame too. That's interesting. That's like a finite number. Must mean something in the, I don't know, maybe it has to do with the, anyway. So you set the time. You left-click on Store, then you left-click on the box that you want to put it in. And now that's a preset. So whenever I come to that window, I can, and now you're not, the odd thing is, and it's, I am fine with it. I am fine with it, okay? But at first you might say, wait a minute, something's wrong with the software. Okay, let me zoom out and tell you what I'm talking about. By the way, I'm one of the very few webinar hosts who actually uses a live cam. A majority of the teaching web hosts. Okay, I know Leo Laporte is different. He's at the top of the charts there. Even Larry Jordan uses mostly still frames and some other things. But anyway, so that's why we get this delay on the webcam thing. Traditionally, what shows up here in the duration of the time is 1 second, 1:00. Okay, it's empty because there is not a default time. So you just click on it, and there, there's your time. So not a worry at all. And then you just do your preset, and you click OK, and I've added that. Isn't that cool? So I come over here, I add it, and then I can change it. Let's go to our 24 frames. So I just love that. I think that's really, really cool. Really cool. Thanks to developers for that. Okay? This is really interesting as well. Okay? We have the ability forever when you add like a circle wipe. Okay, we'll do the preview, It's a uniform transition. The circle wipe occurs from, scene 1 to scene 2 over the time that I have set. 3 seconds and 15 frames, 3.5 seconds. Got it, and that's the way it always should be. Yeah, but I like that the developers gave us the ability to customize this further. If I click on the option button down here in the bottom of the screen, what it brings up is 2 new options, okay? Previous, I think it came out in Smarted at 6, we had this function, add automatically and remove automatically, where you could, do auto transitions, which I still like, especially for photo collages. Yes, sir. Photo montages, I mean. Very nice. But here's the 2 new functions. Sound fade constant versus lowered, and I would agree with most folks to say that, and I like they put the default is constant so that they blend at approximately 50% signal strength. There's an equal blending and they kind of mix it up for a moment, and that's what we're used to. If, however, you are editing narration or like interviews and you want an intermix, I would not use constant. That'd be the one time I would use lowered. It forces the audio from a scene down logarithmically instead of blending. It forces it to lower quicker so that the audio from Logan 1 and Logan whatever this is here from one scene to the next does not blend together as much or does not blend together long. Okay? So that's what lowered is for. Constant is what people are going to use most. But here's what I'm talking about here. And the default is linear. That's what we've always had. So that the transition will move evenly and equally according to the duration you have set. So 3.5 seconds from scene 1 to scene 2, the transition will move smoothly. You have the ability, however, with these 2 new settings to slow down. So it will start uniformly and then it will slow down as the scene progresses. Or it'll start uniformly and then speed up. Okay? I contend that you will only really see this in a longer transition. So I've got a 3:15. So it starts out. Again, not as noticeable. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to remove this, and we'll make this a lone little baby here. Let's go 806. And let me try the other mode and see if that's more apparent. We'll do the speed up function and see what that looks like. A little more apparent. We'll render that out and take a look. A little bit of a change here. So, neat function. So that, but I recommend after you do it for a scene, render that out and then change it back to linear. Because if you're used to doing linear, You'll be freaked out if you find that cropping up on you, like later on, like, what's going on, man? What's going on? Okay, I've got a question from a colleague who asks, Chet, a minute ago you asked about the, the backing up the HD storyboard using the storyboard archives in the project settings menu. Can we restore or recover HD storyboards that were archived in a previous version of Bogart? And I do not know the answer to that. I'm going to have to do some research on that. I don't know if it will work only with storyboards that are saved from this point forward on the new OS, or if it will grandfather in previous versions. Okay, that I'm not sure of. I'm going to have to check up on that. I'm writing that down right now for a question. One more I want to show you here, and it's kind of cool. If you have footage, of course it will never happen to you in something that you did. But let's say some other videographer did some work and they neglected to white balance or did not white balance correctly. Okay. You have the ability to use the white balance function here. Okay, so found in both special in the edit menu as well as image processing. Okay, and it used to be when you clicked on reference color, you'd pick part of the scene. Okay, like if that's the most white thing that I have there under the same lighting condition. Okay, and then it would white balance the scene for what we've got. And here's what's cool though. This is the same operator that we have in the compare function under special effects, and I can choose a scene. Oops, that's good, huh? There's my reference color. I can choose a different scene to white balance against. So if I okay, here's a white side of that building, so I'm just going to use the white from that building. And why I'm doing that, I would assert that this is the best thing that you could do. If you can find a scene that was shot on that same camera under the same or similar lighting conditions on that day at that shoot, that would be optimum. Okay, someone's saying your video is frozen, Chet. So let's see here. I see that as well now on my preview cam. There we go. Okay, thank you for letting me know. It looked the same when I peeked up. All right. So I've chosen the white side of that building as my reference. Okay. Now it white balances this other scene relative to that clip. Okay. A trick one of our colleagues suggested, and I think this was Lou Bruno. Thank you, Lou. Said you can create a new clip here, a color, and use white. And white in the color operator is always the tippy top left corner. That's white. I can even, create and I can use that white as the color balance frame. So if I want to color balance this scene, I go to special, select white balance, select reference color, choose the scene, select the color white. There's white, select that, and now it would color balance this scene relative to using that other white. Okay? So nice, very cool, very cool. You know what? I'm looking at the time. It is 9:19. We were scheduled to be done at 9:15. Thanks for attending. No, I'm just joking. Someone says it's still frozen on the circle wipe screen. It must be, could be your internet setting there. I've got several other people saying my screen is fine right now, and on my testing screen as well. I just wave my hand in front, and I do see my hand. So I am live and in living color. I hate to say. So what you might do is, worst case scenario, if this happens to you during my webinar or anybody else's, is that you would leave the webinar and then log back in with the same, same thing with the same URL that was sent to you in the email. Okay? So I'm estimating another 15, possibly 20 minutes with some questions going on. So I apologize we've gone over. But there's so much in the Bogart 4 environment that I definitely want to cover. Okay? So if you need to go because you made prior engagements based on the time in the webinar invitation. I thank you for joining me today. And let me just put my quick plug in and say thank you to those of you who are members of my website. And if you're not yet a member at CasablancaExpert.com, I would invite you today, and here's my risk-free money-back guarantee. Consider joining at the silver membership level, which is $12.99 per month. And you will automatically be billed each successive month $12.99. If during that first month you find that my resources for some reason are not what you expected or hoped, just send me an email and let me know. You can, if you don't want anything to do with me, you can go online and close your account and cancel it. It's actually quite easily. But send me an email. If you get billed for the second month and you forgot, send me an email. I will refund both months, okay? I only want happy customers. There's more than 580 articles, tips, tutorials, streaming videos. There's more than 35 streaming videos, webinars I've done for the last 2.25 years available for you. You spend thousands of dollars on your video editing system. I would encourage you to spend 35 cents a day to access the resources at the Casablanca Expert website. Okay? End of my little plug. So, if you enjoy what I'm doing, shoot me an email or shoot Macrosystem an email and let them know that you feel you've gotten extra value. So, all right. So, onward and upward, we're going into the audio functions. Okay? And so we have audio and then the finish window to go through. Audio record and edit. This is a nice function. I think this is pretty cool. So what you can see is I've got audio. I use the scene to sample function and extract or copy the audio. And I've created a silent sample. And then I loaded in a music to use audio CD with 37 tracks. This is some seemingly little additions or improvements can make a world of difference to some of us that spend a lot of time in front of the interface. Okay. Sort, and this is how you sort or look at the audio samples or the audio elements in this menu, in this specific project. Original is the way it came in. This is the way we've always had it. And that's by the date or time it was loaded in the machine. So this audio element was the first thing I created in this project. This was the second thing, so and so and so. We have these two new options that I think is really cool. By name, okay? And it just happens that by name, they actually are the same thing. So if I wanted to change that just to show it to you, I would come here, and let's say this is going to be Z scene, okay? See how it moved that to the end? So it's alphabetically listed by name, which is really cool. If you name your clips and you want to find a particular one, if you got a lot of audio elements in here, okay. The other really cool feature that I like as well is by length. So it's by total running time of that clip. So there's a 3-second, a 5-second, 9:26, 19, on and on and on. So that's really cool. I really like that. Thank you to the developers. Okay. So we can also use the grouping function that we've had the last couple of OS versions. I think Smart at 8 and higher, or maybe Smart at 7 and higher, gave this the ability to group your scenes in video. Okay? And we had the ability to set a group name. So what I can do here is I can do it from options, but I like, in this mode I'm in right now, I can set it up over here. I'm going to go back to original. And what I did is I created, and what you do first, click on options, set group name, and I have one that's called music and one's called scene audio. Okay, you could do one called sound effects. You could even break it out to like mellow music, fast tempo, etc., and group out your audio as you see fit. And what you do is you click on your track. I'm going to go to one that's not, so this track 8 is not identified yet. I either click on option, set group name, and say that's music, and click OK. And now it puts that in the music category. Now in this mode that I've got set up in the menu, I click on a track, left click in this box, and say, yeah, I want that to be music. Okay? And that's now a music sample. Isn't that cool? So very nice. So how does that benefit you, Chet? Well, come here to options and say group selection. only show me those scenes, placing the check mark. Check mark is critical. Check mark Chet. And click OK. It's only going to show me those elements, those audio samples that I have grouped into the group called music. And it's nice. Up here it says filter active. It's warning me. It's telling me. So I always, share the example. You work late at night. You're on an edit. You come to your studio the next morning. You turn your system on. You go, where'd all my sounds go? Where's all my audio elements? Filter is active. Click on Option, Group Selection. Oops. Option, Group Selection, and say, show me all. Show me everything. And everything is back. Okay? If you use the Export to CD audio function, I know Jörg Sprava heard this years ago at the March get-together. Previously, the developers decided that they would make this opportunity only available up to, up to 70 minutes, because that's the capacity for the shortest of the CD media, the blank discs, okay? But other discs have the capacity to go longer format. And I'm trying to remember that CDR, CDRWs have greater capacity. Well, you've got that now. You can go up to 80 minutes capacity, but again, it's dependent on the media, okay? So that's kind of the under the hood thing, but it's pretty cool, okay? Yep. Okay, let me make I got a silent sample over here, and see my silent sample's 3 seconds long, okay? Take a look at this, nothing up my sleeve, okay? This is a 3-second silent sample. Why I tell you that, I'm going to come to the audio mix menu now, and I'm going to add that silent sample, okay? So I got my 3-second silent sample. How do I know it's 3 seconds long? Look at the bottom of the menu here, and I know it's kind of hard to see. Back out a little bit, and it says it is, in fact, 3 seconds long. Trust me on it. Now, if I click on that silent sample and want to adjust it, okay, check this out. I'll move this up so you can see it better. I have my 3-second silent sample indicated by the lighter color here, but I have the capacity. It automatically gives me 5 additional seconds of silent sample that's like available to me. It's kind of like overdraft protection on your silent sample. You created only 3 seconds, but now you realize you needed 4.5 seconds. I've got it. Thank you, developers. That's really cool. And you got 5 additional seconds on each side. Very nice. Very nice. Okay? So that's available in the range function. And this is new as well. See, it's telling me right away that I have overmodulated audio. Okay? I got some overmodulation going on, Mr. Davis here. So we need to, we can make some adjustments to that. So let's go ahead. We can go in the envelope. Okay? Or we easier, just come here and, whoa, no wonder. It's at 30 dB. How did that happen? No wonder it's overmodulated. Okay. Let's go ahead and add a music track here. Okay. And one of the other benefits of using the timeline view in the storyboard audio mix, rather, is this what I'm about to show you. We used to have to, some people like to use audio mix, and there's special functions you can do in audio mix only if you're in the timeline view. But to do this previously, I like working in storyboard for most of it. I'm like a lot of folks. I like the storyboard function most. But, I want to use this new cool feature, but I can't unless I'm in timeline view. So I used to have to go back to settings, open up storyboard timeline, and change this here. But look at this. The developers gave us a quick cut right here. Shortcut. View storyboard? No, right here, I want to switch and just see timeline mode. Isn't that cool? So I can pop in and out of storyboard and timeline right away. And here's what I'm talking about. This is what's cool in the timeline view. I can use the audio envelope right here without even opening up the envelope if there's some audio I need to affect. And then I know by clicking on this little icon with the tiny interior right trackball button, it opens up all those little quick tips, the quick access points that's similar to what's brand new in the Bogart 4 in the edit menu. Okay? Very nice. Very nice. Thank you, developers. I really like that too. The ability right here, switch back and forth between the storyboard and the timeline functions. I love that. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to click on this track. This is what I meant to show you that's new. Previously on LA Law. Why is that stuck in my mind? Okay. Previously, if you have overmodulated audio, it would show it beneath the storyboard. If you squint on your way, well, maybe I can zoom in here. Huh? Of course, I'm going to have to tilt up. Like I'm a little funky little, there. Okay, that kind of works. Previously, you see the blue and the red. So blue audio is fine. Red is overmodulated audio. That's where it used to show up. What's cool is it shows up now in the individual scenes as well. See how it's right on the top of this track 06? That's because I overinflated it artificially. So let's bring it back to 0 dB. And now I can see that I have made that correction. So it shows you not only in the sum of all your audio do you have overmodulation, like I do now, because it's the music track added to the net sound on that clip give me overmodulation. Okay? Very, very nice. I like that a lot. That's very helpful in terms of seeing what you've got going on. Okay, let's see. Okay, here's nice too. If I have, let me add another music track here. Okay, so I've got two different music tracks. Now, in the last couple versions of the operating system, we could click on this button. Actually, maybe it's just Bogart 3 and SmartNet 9. I could click here, and it would mute every audio sound sample on that track. But look what they've added. We have the ability to lower the volume. Let's go -9 decibels. What that's done is it's lowered, and see the little minus icon? Oh, you can't see it because I'm, just trust me, there's a minus, I'll show you in a second. There's a minus icon at the side. Now, what am I showing you? Okay. Zoom out. Camera 2, zoom out, please. Roger that. Okay. And this is the button I'm talking about that engages that. The little speaker icon used to be in Bogart 3 and SmartNet 9. You click on that, it would automatically mute every sound sample on that track. Now, we can set -9 dB, and I've got a little -9, okay? Or we can mute it, so there's no volume coming out of that speaker, the little icon. Or I can set it back to 0 dB. So and thank you developers. See, Justin, they're capable, the developers are capable of putting a default reset. I like that. They've made the mistake of showing me that it's possible. Now I'm going to start a campaign to start putting that in a bunch of different menus, okay? So thank you. That's cool. So it resets everything. So we're all clear. Back to the default position, which means that any sound sample on this track will be reset to the volume that it was recorded or imported at. Okay? This is really cool. If I wanted to increase every audio element at once, we used to have to use power key commands for this. But now we can do it with this little tiny button. Very, very nice. I dig that. Okay. Used to be in the edit menu, we can we can range through and check out something. Okay. But now in the audio mix menu, we can use the same thing. We can use the range function. Okay. And we have the ability to scroll through and check out something. I'm positioning that audio element, aren't I? Oh, yeah. Okay. We have the ability as well. This is really cool. If I'm adjusting a silent sample, okay, we have some of the same functions that used to be only available in the newer trim functions. We can trim the in and the out point, okay, for this silent sample relative to seeing the in and the out point in the video. That is awesome. If you're doing some very specific audio editing, that is really, really powerful. So I can set that silent sample or a music track to begin visually where I want and to end visually, right what I'm seeing. And again, we have in -1 and out +1. So the scene directly to the left that we're not using and the scene directly to the right that we're not using, so that I can precisely time it. Okay? So, and here's an example of how and where. If I wanted my music to go all the way to the end of this athlete running and not the next scene, that's where I've parked it. See, we see her, and in the next frame in the upper right corner, we do not see her. Okay, it's now the next frame of video, so I would start a different audio element there. Really nice. Okay, and so it just gives us some really cool capabilities in terms of determining where things sit and how we move through the audio function of our system. Now, if you're in timeline view, I neglected to show you this previously. Let's go into timeline view really quickly here. Oh, I only have, okay. So as the position bar is moving across the screen, there's a preview window in the upper right corner. So you're seeing exactly what's going on related or relative to that particular portion of content. And again, that's adjustable with the size functions. Okay. All right. So I think that's the majority of the functions in the audio. We're going to come to finish, and then we'll deal with some Q&A. And this is really nice. Okay. If I come to an HD project, and I want to finish this, okay, HDV has been rendered, but the storyboard has changed, so I've got to re-render that, okay? Okay. You know what oh, that's what I've done. I was doing some modifications just this morning, and I'm not sure it's going to let me do it in SD. It's an HD thing. Yep, it's an HD thing. Well, I'll tell you what happens when you click Create in HD. Well, you know what? I can do it. I can do it even with some. We'll do a pattern thing. Ooh, that's nice, Chet. Something to give me some. Okay, so I've got some content up there. I want to go to Create or Render this. Okay, look at this button down here, Background. I click Background. It's going to render the HDV in the background so I can go do other stuff with my system. Isn't that wonderful? So those of you that are doing HDV know that when you set your system to render, if you've got a decent sized or longer project going on, you might as well, you know, go out to dinner or something or sleep, because the long GOP format takes a long time, and that's not a Casablanca issue. That's an industry issue, okay? But thanks to the developers for giving us the ability, now I can go work on other projects while that thing is rendering, and when it, I come back when it's done. Very, very nice. Very nice. Thanks to the developers for that. So let me go over a couple of closing items, and we're going to do some Q&A. Upcoming webinars, thanks for joining me today. Next webinar is a Casablanca Expert members only webinar, and that will be on Thursday, July 21st, not the 19th, Mr. Davis. So there you go, live and in living color. And we're moving to the 8 o'clock a.m. Pacific time. There was a poll on Monday morning Coffee Clutch last week that indicated here's why the overwhelming majority, in fact, everyone who voted said 8 a.m. Pacific, please. There was one individual in Illinois who shall remain nameless who said, I'd like you to start at 8 a.m. Central Time. That would mean that I start my show at 6 a.m. And I'm sorry, I used to be an early riser, but not anymore. I worked the graveyard shift in radio for a couple years. That screwed up my sleep pattern, so forget it. Sorry, it ain't going to happen. So 8 a.m. Pacific, okay? Again, if you're not already a member, please consider. I'm not going to beg. I'm just going to say there's a wealth of information there. You can ask any of the people that are members of my website whether they think it's worthy. A very small number of people have become members and left. Some because they left the Casablanca platform, others because they expected something different. And that's fine. You can't please everybody. But I would assert that I think you would find great value in the resources. Of course, you have to take advantage of them too. Okay? All the resources there are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. When you need it, there's a great search tool, and end of story. You may not find that the website works for you. I would invite and encourage you to consider the Casablanca Expert tutorials. Okay? Let me show you that. Go to my website at casablancaexpert.com, click on Tutorial DVDs, and click in my online store. There's a whole host of titles. The most recent is called Candy Factory Intensive, double disc set. I walk you through every single button in Candy Factory. It works on Smart Edit and Bogart as well. Title Studio Intensive. There's DVD Arabesque 4 if you've wanted to do more with your DVD menus. Photo Studio Intensive. Again, that product works in both Smart Edit and the Bogart series. If you have the Columbus map-making software, very few people really know how to use all the features and functions. That's why I created this tutorial DVD. Upcoming DVDs we're looking for a release this fall will be a Blue Box World tutorial, and I'm going to do a comprehensive Bogart 4 tutorial. So I'm going to shut up for a minute and see what questions we have. Okay. Thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate and hope that you found this of value today. If you have individual questions, especially if you're a website member, you're welcome to shoot me an email to chet@chetdavis.com. So I'm going to pop back into my screen here and check out what questions, if any, we might have here. One of our colleagues, website member, Franklin. Welcome, Franklin, from the Dominican Republic. Great to have you on. What about down convert from HDV to DV for Arabesque and other functions? I am told that that has been improved. I just am using a Bogart S-3000 and have not put that through its paces for me to honestly say that it is fixed. In fact, the release notes do not say it's been fixed. They said it's been improved. Okay, so frankly, I think any improvement is good for those of us that have had issues. So, got a colleague asking, is there a reason photo? I'm assuming, are you talking about Photo Studio 2? Is not working in Bogart 4. It worked perfectly with OS 3. Thank you. Let me show you a very important function here on the webcam. It does not relate that I'm aware of to Photo Studio 2. I would make sure that you have the correct version for Photo Studio installed. As you may know, there are versions of Photo Studio that were for Smart Edit only, and the most recent version for Bogart 4. And I can look that up in a second. But let me take you back to the webcam. This is very important for those who want to run Bogart 4 and Candy Factory or Blue Box World. Under System Settings, click on Install Product and see how Bogart SE version 4.1 is active on the top. Okay? If you want to run Candy Factory or Blue Box World at this point in time, you must hide version 4.1 and click OK. Okay? Now you can see I'm actually running on Bogart 3.6c, which is the latter version, the most recent version of Bogart 3. And now Candy Factory will work. Under the Bogart 4, Candy Factory and Blue Box World will not yet work. Okay? I'm told that is being addressed and it will be available. But I love, frankly, that the developers were able to address that and provide us a workaround. Very nice, very nice. So again, what you do is go to System Settings, Install Product, hide Bogart 4, and what comes up is the other versions. And to go back, it's simply a matter of scrolling down, Bogart version 4.1, activate that, and now I'm active on the 4.1c. Okay? If, yeah, Melissa, version 2.2 should be the most recent version of Photo Studio 2. What I would do if I were you, I would delete the software entirely, shut down on an empty project, restart, and then reinstall it. And if that doesn't help, I would shoot an email off to tech support just to inquire. That's important for all of us, by the way. If you're having issues with your machine, and you've checked with me or you've checked with a colleague, and you've kind of gone through, because let me tell you this right away. A huge percentage of tech support issues are operator error, or operator, if that stings a little bit too much, are operator oversight. Okay, I'm not saying there are not issues with software or hardware. There are with this company and every other company on the planet. Okay, I'm not defending the company. That's just the way it is. But a huge percentage of issues relate to the individual. Okay, so why I'm telling you that is, we double check all these little things, and then there are issues. And if there are, especially with software that's brand new right out of the gate, okay? And if we don't report that to tech support, they don't have the ability to know what's going out there in the customer universe. So it's very important if you have issues. And even if a friend gives you a workaround, I still would encourage you to telephone or email tech support and let them know as specifically as you can. Hi, I'm running a Casablanca S4000 Pro with 4.1c. I'm running Candy Factory version X.XD, and this is the issue I'm having. Okay, even if they don't have a cure, okay, they have the information to begin to address it. Okay, let's see. Brian shares the Photo Studio 2 is version 2.7a in the UK. I don't think we have that. Somebody online can check that, please, and see what the latest version of Photo Studio 2 is in MTSC. And I'll go on to another question here. Need better menus for Blu-ray. Totally agree, and Macro System is aware of that. You may have heard that think, Chet. I'm trying to read and think. That's dangerous. I don't have a dual-core processor. Arabesque 5 is in testing, and Arabesque 5 is reported to be able to give us DVD menus on high-definition media, so Blu-ray. Very nice, and many of us are anticipating that, excited. 2.7a, I'm told, is the latest version, Melissa. So I would go to the Macro System US website or your reseller, and I would download the ISO file and install that. So it appears at 2.7. Okay. Let's see. Release notes say make sure we're running the most recent Arabesque. They list 4.13 or 4.3, but in my software list it says 4.9. Let's see what I've got running over here. We're going to the Arabesque screen. Arabesque 4.13, I'm told, is the latest. Okay, and I've got Arabesque 4.13, and that would be on the all software disk. Okay, so if you are not running that, that's a recommendation. Okay, coming back up here. Thank you, Justin. So again, resetting software of any kind. If you're having issues with specific software, especially after a brand new OS or something, delete the software. My recommendation, delete the software in the install pod. Not just hide it, delete it. Get it off your system. Okay? Then shut down the system on an empty project, reboot, and then install the system. Okay? That works for a good number of issues, a good number of cases. Okay? Let's see, a question, does Bogart 4 load video files faster from a card reader? I cannot verify that. I cannot say that that's accurate. It's a little faster than 1-to-1. I don't know that that's improved dramatically. One of our colleagues is saying, Chet, are there any three-party software new filters for the Casablanca? I know this person who's asking, and I know what they're asking about. They're asking about I had a brain freeze. The red Magic Bullet software. That's what you're asking. I can't say anything. I know that that's of interest to people in the community. That's all I can say. Question from a colleague, can I upgrade to version 4 from version 2 without doing a full install? Can I do a update, a software update? My understanding is yes. We have a couple colleagues online who are smarter than me in that, and I will get an official answer momentarily. In other words, can I go from Bogart version 2 to Bogart version 4 doing an update and keep all my audio and video contents? It is not recommended. Of course, you hate to hear me say this. This is like the mom at dinner time, right? Or the dad. You can do that, but I don't think you should, son. But I'll have the official word for you momentarily. Colleague is asking to clarify, does the Bogart 4 disc also include 3.6C? It does install it on my system. Okay, when I install the Bogart 4, it does install Bogart 3. If you are intending to only install Bogart 3.6C on that disk, I believe you have to download just the Bogart 3.6C, which is a separate link. Is that correct? Anybody else smarter than me online? See, I'm not trying to pigeonhole any one particular person and put them on the spot. But if anybody has the answer to that, that would be wonderful. I'm going to forward up while that's being addressed. Let's see here. Do I need a Cassie hard drive to store and restore back into Bogart? Depends on what you're storing and restoring. Okay? I have a webinar. It's called All About Archives. I would recommend you check that out. All About Archives will share information about the archives function, about storyboard archives, about the Bogart HD backup. If you're doing storyboard backup or the Bogart HD backup, yes, you need to do that on an external hard drive. If you're just doing the archives, which is the custom colors and that kind of thing, that can be done on a USB stick and even a CD or DVD. Okay. Yes, I understand there's at least one successful individual who has upgraded from Bogart 2 to Bogart 4 by doing an update. Okay. So it has been done, so it should function, in other words. Okay. Let's see. Bogart 3.6C was offered to those not going to Bogart 4 and made it easier to update. Full install, Bogart 4 lost all my Arabesque archives and all my photo studio photos. That is correct. That's and I apologize if there's a misunderstanding. When you do a full install of any operating system, this is SmartEdit, this is Bogart, this is Mac OS 10 Lion, this is Windows 7, any software on a computer-based system, it will wipe clean everything on your hard drive. Everything. Now, photos are in fact gone. It's totally cleaning the hard drive and reinstalling, which is part of the benefit, to be honest with you. Okay, it's cleaning off any potential corruption, as in addition to, I know, being inconvenient because it cleared off other stuff. The Arabesque archives, you know, I thought they were saved in if you archive the archives, which is under the system settings menu. Okay, yeah, those archives, I'm sorry, they do not save photos. Photos is entirely separate and independent. And it was my understanding that the Arabesque archives would have been saved using those as well. But your experience is not the case. And that sounds like that's why the developers have created that option now in Bogart 4 to save all those. Let's see here. Coming back to questions here. Got a bunch of questions, so I'm just coming back up here. To keep the scenes made with Candy Factory, don't you have to make a scene of it to keep it to go back to Bogart 4? Thank you. Yes, so anything that you're using in Bogart 3, if you make a scene of it first, then bring it back. Okay, good. Using the edit screen you're showing, is that on Bogart 3 or is it new to Bogart 4? The edit screen I'm using, this screen here, if that's what you're talking about, that's the timeline view that you can get in Bogart 3. But the preview button is different in the progress bar that, you can do this kind of thing, but if you're in the timeline view to see the little progress bar to use it here, this playback button in the upper right corner, that is new to Bogart 4. Question from a colleague, is quad cams fixed with synchronization issues? Well, at the start of today's session, I did show you the new button to not display footage in DV-HDV import. So that should help with any drop frame issues, which would lead to out of sync. And I think I was going back through the release notes. I think there was something mentioned about addressing quad cam issues. Let me look real quickly. And that's let me just do my someone's asking about the storyboard view. System settings, storyboard timeline, go to storyboard view. This function here, excuse me, with the multi-scene function is something you can have now in Bogart 3. In fact, you can have this in Smart Edit 7, 8, 9 as long as you're connected to a high-res monitor. So in the Smart Edit environment, if you are using a dual monitor setup and you're connected to a higher setting on a VGA monitor, you will see this. In the Bogart environment, if you're running Bogart 3 or 2 and want this, you have to have either DVI HDMI single monitor or use a dual monitor where your menu or GUI, screen 1 is set to a higher resolution monitor. You cannot get this just playing single monitor video out. There's not enough resolution on the TV monitor, the video monitor, to display this much information. I'm told that quad cam is still being addressed. The company understands that that is extremely important for some individuals and is pressing to get that bumped up in the priority list to have it addressed. Here's my quick comments. Read the release notes, okay? They're 4 pages long, but especially if your living depends on video editing on your Casablanca, for goodness sake, read the release notes. Hats off to the beta testers and the individual. Whether or not he was online this morning, I would say this. Well done. Very comprehensive, very thorough, okay? It addresses the items that were fixed. It lists any known issues. In other words, someone might consider it a problem or an issue. They're identified. So the company knows about these issues right now, okay? And then there's additional notes, okay? Things you may need or want to be aware of. And then installation instructions, 4 pages. If you're doing this, that's the one complaint I have. You may have heard there's a big, huge problem, okay? With Final Cut Pro 10 was released by Apple Computer last week. Well, you know what? It was introduced last April at the NAB show. And I'm not defending Apple. Here's the way the facts are, okay? Many people in the Apple community were talking for months about the potential issues. And if you went to a guru, a person of expertise, like the Casablanca expert, except there's one in Final Cut Pro, most people would consider that would be Larry Jordan. And Larry Jordan was saying 4 months. And in the day of release, here's the things to know about this software. If this is you, don't install it. If this is you, don't install it. If this is a problem for you, don't install it. A bunch of people installed it and then complained like, hey, I didn't know anything about this. Well, especially if you do this for a living. Come on now. Anyway, that's my preaching for the day. So don't install it blindly. Know about it. Personal responsibility. I'm not saying, yeah, if there's issues, the company needs to deal with them. but you need to be aware of what the company is at least telling you so you have the most relevant information. So, okay, end of preaching. Where do you find the release notes? Okay, let me show you right where you find them. In addition to the Casablanca Expert website, I'll show you where you go. Now, these are the NTSC release notes, okay? I don't know where there's English language. A colleague is asking in the UK here. I'll show you in a second. I go to Downloads, and I'll copy this link for you. Okay, go to Bogart, and here's, oh, you know what? They're not here yet because they're not available to the public. But I think I did. Casablanca Expert. I believe I put the link up here. Oh, let me just send you this link too. This is my new quick guide. So there's a link that will take you to my 8-page PDF about the Bogart 4. Okay, here we go. I'm copying it right now. If you are a club member, you already got the release notes, I believe, with the envelope. If you're not a club member, or you misplaced that, or you're not a club member and you want to read the release notes before the software is available, there you go. Okay. So, installing Bogart 4. Let me send you this as well. Send you that link too. And I think that's it. So, you can download the German language version of the PAL release notes, but then use Google Translate to translate that, or if you have a friend or colleague or yourself that speaks the German language, that would be something that you could choose to do. Okay, a couple more questions before we wrap it up here. And I'm told that the Bogart 4 release notes will be up on Macro System US website Tuesday or Wednesday after the official Bogart release. So, yeah, that's not a slap at the company. It's not publicly released yet, and anybody that received the software already got the release notes. So, all right. I think that's the majority of the questions. So thanks for joining me today. Thanks for your continued, somebody's asking, do we know when Arabesque 5.0 will be released? No, we don't. It's not available in Germany yet. It's not available in PAL, which is, I don't believe it is, which is the first indication that it's coming our way in NTSC. But I always encourage our colleagues, let the beta testing team take time. I know we want this. I know some of you need this yesterday or last year, but let them work on it. Let them work it out so that it's clean and solid and does what you expect and need it to do. So I'm told it's still in tests, and when it's in tests, to be honest with you, there is no timeline. I don't even want or anticipate an expected release date. I'd rather just say, you all release it when you think it's right. Know that we want it. Know that we really need it. Please, please, please. But release it when it's right. So, all right. Thanks all for joining me today. Have a great rest of the day. Have a fantastic Independence Day holiday. If you have questions, if you have recommendations or suggestions for future webinars, I'm delighted to have your feedback. Send me an email to Chet, C-H-E-T, @chetdavis.com. If you have questions about my website membership, maybe you're like, Chet, I still don't know. If you're sticking on any point, feel free to shoot me an email. If you'd like to see a tutorial DVD on a particular concept or a particular software package, shoot me an email and let me know. If there's enough people who are interested in having a particular content addressed in a tutorial, I'd be happy to consider that. Okay? Thanks very much again. Have a fantastic day, and catch you next time, either in person or online.